Caseus, Jedi Master. Chapter 14. Cassius looked at Gaidom in a stunned silence.
Master? Who is this?
Cassius looked at Liara and back to Gaidom. I have to be sure. Who was your first master?
Corbius Tall.
How did he die?
He perished in the Battle of Geonosis.
Who was the head librarian in the archives?
Jocasta knew. Your master's name was Kakuri Takai. Your best friend was Corbin Roth. And you spent an unusual amount of time with Sarah Cateau.
Cassius lowered his guard and sighed in confusion and relief. I didn't know you survived.
Cassius, who is this?
Cassius looked at Liara.
Gaidom Haywikind.
He was a Jedi before the Order fell. I knew him a long time ago.
Really? Tell me about the temple. How big was it? Did you fight in a lot of battles?
Gaidom raised an eyebrow and smiled.
I'll be happy to answer your questions, but first we need to go to my base of operations.
Take us then. There's a lot I have to tell you. Gaidom led Cassius and Liara out of the alleyway and over to the turbolift as they rode up into the upper levels of the city. Cassius was still in complete shock. He knew he wasn't the only Jedi who had survived, but with Vader and the Inquisitors, he was certain that the rest had been killed. For the first time in years, he knew that there had been others like him. Others who managed to hide from the Empire and stay hidden. Gaidom led them through the less populated streets of the city until they arrived at a tall housing complex. Scanning a keycard, Gaidom led them inside and up many flights of stairs until they reached his abode and stepped inside. It was sparsely decorated. A few plants, some books, and a few other items you might find in an average home.
Have a seat. Do you need anything? Drinks? Food?
I'm all right. Liara?
I am a bit thirsty.
Gaidom smiled and went to a refrigeration unit and grabbed a glass bottle with an orange liquid inside. Smiling, he handed it to her as she accepted it gratefully. Slicking back his hair, Gaidom sat across from Cassius. For a moment, the two stared at each other. He could see clear as day that Cassius had been through more than he could have imagined.
So, what happened? How did you survive?
Cassius looked down at the glass table in front of him, and back up. The day that everything happened, I was on Argus Prime. A few months prior, Corbin snapped. Everything that the war had put him through, it just broke him. He went down a dark path. I tried to help him, but he ran. He reemerged on Artus and attacked a Republic outpost where one of my soldiers was. It was some plot of his to get me out there, and I went. When I got there, I tried to talk sense into him, but he attacked me and we fought. Before we knew it, we felt this tremor. Cassius nodded. I felt it too.
What happened after?
I think that feeling shook him out of it. He was back, but it didn't last. The facility had a meltdown and Corbin died to save me. I hated myself for not being able to help him. I didn't know how much worse it would get. The soldier, his name was Juro. We went back to Coruscant immediately, but we knew something was wrong. I received a message from my master saying the clones were attacking the temple. By some miracle of the Force, Juro wasn't affected. Something to do with a chip in his brain, but
I had to get them out. Master Takai, Sarah. I had to help. I got inside and I saw Jedi being slaughtered. I found Master Takai, but the clones found us. And she was killed. Another death to save me. At this point, all I could think about was getting Sarah out. And that's when I found her. Dead. It was him.
Who? Caseus looked up with tears filling his eyes and a look of disgust.
Skywalker.
Gaidom sat back and shook his head in disbelief.
No, they said that he was killed at the temple.
They lied. Palpatine had turned him. And he slaughtered them. Killed them like they were nothing. I saw him. I tried to stop him.
Caseus raised his left arm.
And I failed. He nearly killed me. Left me for dead. Juro helped me escape. Dravok, too. Don't ask me how that happened. I was at death's door. When I woke up, Juro told me everything that happened. The Republic was gone. And the Jedi. And I wanted revenge. Dravok found us a few weeks later. We spent the next 2 years coming up with a plan. To kill Skywalker. Vader, he was called now. We had a team. We had a plan. It could have worked. But we were sold out by one of our own. And Vader lured us into a trap. We tried again. To stop him. So close. We were so close. And we failed again. Dravok. Juro. Both dead. To save me. Corbin. My master. Juro. Dravok. Even my own droid. All dead. So that I could live.
Gaidom stared at Caseus, his face full of shock, sorrow, and empathy. What happened next?
I hid. I went to Dantooine. I met a farmer there who took me in, gave me home and work. And I met her.
Caseus gestured to Liara, who was holding her drink and looking at her master, unsure of what to say.
I found out she was like us. And she had to be trained. An Inquisitor found out where I was, though. I stopped her, and with her mother's blessing, I left Dantooine with her. We've been hiding ever since. I've been doing my best to train her and teach her the way our masters taught us. We had a run-in with some bounty hunters on Chandrilla, and somehow we were helped by your contacts. Mon Mothma sent us here, and that's it.
Gaidom stroked his beard and looked at Caseus. He was a far sight from who he was when he met him all those years ago at the temple. The pain and guilt he felt was etched into every line on his face, every circle under his eyes. I'd just been sent on my first solo mission without my master. I can't even remember what it was, some kind of border dispute or something. I didn't have any clones with me when it happened. Looking back, that might have been a blessing in disguise. I didn't get back to Coruscant until the next day. I remembered seeing the smoke from the temple. People in the streets were talking about some Jedi rebellion that was stopped, but something didn't add up. The transmission from the temple said that the war was over, and that all Jedi were to head back. I wanted to go home, to see for myself what happened. It wasn't until I saw this. Gaidom pulled out his holoprojector and placed a small data chip inside. And from the projector, a flickering image came to life.
This is Master Obi-Wan Kenobi. I regret to report that both the Jedi Order and the Republic have fallen, with the dark shadow of the Empire rising to take their place. This message is a warning and a reminder for any surviving Jedi. Trust in the Force. Do not return to the temple. That time has passed, and our future is uncertain. We will each be challenged. Our trust, our faith, our friendships. But we must persevere, and in time, a new hope will emerge. May the Force be with you, always.
The recording ended as Caseus continued staring, at a loss for words. Master Kenobi survived. I spent one more day on Coruscant, gathering supplies I would need to go into hiding. But I couldn't leave without seeing the temple one last time. I went in disguise. There was some public gathering on the temple steps the following day. Representatives from the new Empire. They were preaching about the Jedi insurgency. What I saw, it'll never leave me. They'd taken bodies of some of the Jedi that were killed and what? They strung them up like war banners on display for the people as a sign. Caseus, one of them. Caseus shut his eyes tightly. He already knew what he was going to say. One of them was your master. Caseus broke down with his hands over his face.
Caseus?
Liara sat close to her master and held him. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have brought that up. No. It's what happened after. I left Coruscant. Left my life. For years I hopped from planet to planet. It wasn't safe to settle in one place. I was lost. Until I found out about a path. A path? There was an underground movement that helped surviving Jedi disappear. They helped me vanish. After that, I wandered for a while, keeping low, listening for news about the outside world. Eventually, I began hearing about a movement. A rebellion. Small but growing. I met a friend who had involved herself in the movement and got me in touch with Mon Mothma. After a good amount of convincing, I agreed to become an informant on their behalf. They scraped together enough credits to purchase this safe house here, and in return I provide them with information regarding Imperial activity out here in the Outer Rim. The Empire doesn't know about Cloud City's mining activities, so this seemed like a good place to lay low. That's my story. Caseus looked down at his feet and back up to Gaidom. Why us?
What?
All the Jedi that died. Good people. With good hearts and lives ahead of them. Why did we survive? Why were we chosen by some twist of fate to live when our friends didn't?
Gaidom sat closer.
I ask myself that a lot. Why I lived and my master died. Why things played out the way they did, but everything happens for a reason, right? Maybe there's something beyond what we understand. The Force holds a lot of mysteries. It's up to us to figure out why we're still here. And how best to use our gifts in these evil times.
Caseus sighed and looked at Liara, who put her hand on his.
I know why I'm still here. I have a duty. A responsibility to train Liara. To keep the light of the Jedi alive through her. I won't stray from my path. Even for the rebellion.
Gaidom looked out the window and back to Caseus.
The rebellion could use you, Caseus. But I understand. You have to do what you think is right. I'll tell you the information you came for. After that, well, I hope to see you again.
Gaidom retrieved a datapad and scrolled through several encrypted data files.
The Empire controls most of the trade routes and hyperspace lanes, but the Outer Rim routes have been owned and regulated by different syndicates and groups for years. However, it looks like the Empire's trying to expand their reach in the Outer Rim. They have some plans for the Lothal system, but I haven't been able to gather many details. Several Imperial outposts have also been popping up throughout the trailing sectors. I know we have some contacts and informants out there, so they'll need to know how to proceed with extra caution going forward. Hopefully by the time I have more information, I can set up a new, more reliable method of communication with Mon Mothma.
Okay. We'll leave soon and relay the information to her.
Gaidom. Thank you. For understanding. I just can't join any rebellion. Not right now, anyway. Of course. But remember, Caseus. Until the Empire's defeated, you'll be running. Looking over your shoulder at every turn. Is that a life you want?
Caseus thought to himself when suddenly, a large holoprojector in the center of the room began to beep.
What's that? Looks like a public message from the administrator.
Gaidom activated the projector, and an image of a stout man with a robotic leg appeared, garbed in extravagant clothing. Caseus looked closely, as his eyes widened.
Greetings, my citizens. I'm sending out this message to remind all residents of the upper level of the annual Midsummer Ball, hosted by yours truly in the Administrator's Palace tomorrow evening. Remember to dress formally and have your invitations at the door. I hope to see you all there.
Caseus balled his fists in anger. He couldn't believe his eyes. Rax.